Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a step-by-step brow tutorial. This is my updated brow tutorial. Lately I've been getting a lot of questions and a lot of nice comments on my brows, so thank you so much for the nice compliments. But I wanted to show you exactly what I'm doing to get my brows to look the way that they look in the videos that you see. So if you're interested in seeing that, then just keep watching. Okay, so I'm up close and personal. If I'm looking down, I'm gonna try to stay aware of that so that you can see, real time what's happening. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for clicking on my video. I hope that it's helpful. On my channel, I like a lot of colorful eyeshadows, so that means a lot of indie eyeshadow, but I also love a lot of luxury makeup. So you get a really good mix of everything here on my channel. If that's your thing, then go ahead and consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell to all so that you are notified of my future uploads, and I'll see you over on my Instagram and Twitter. That's where all the fun's at. That's where we talk about makeup releases, tag each other. There's giveaways that go along with my socials. So go ahead and check out the description box below, and it will have all of that information. Now, also listed in the description box below will be all of the items that I use today. They will have a link next to them. Those are affiliate links. If you're interested or in the market for any of these products, if you use those links, I do earn a small commission, but just wanted to let you know. I appreciate you using those links, but no obligation to do so. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to start off by showing you the products that I use on my brows. And the first product is my NARS Budge Proof Eye Primer. Now you might say, like, brows? Yeah, brows. I'll show you why in a minute. The next product that I use is my Tom Ford Brow Sculptor. This is in the shade 05 Granite. Yep, 05 Granite. I also like to use a spoolie like this. It usually is helpful if it has a longer handle on it, so any spoolie will work. The next product that I use is my Chantecaille Full Perfecting Brow Gel. You don't need this one. You don't need any. I'll tell you why and specifics as we get through the tutorial. The next product that I will need is my MAC Fix Plus. This is in just a little mini size. Next product, my Revolution Soap Brows with Castor Oil. This stuff is key to what we're going to do today. The next product is a concealer. Any concealer will do. I'll explain more. And then the last product is another brush, and it's a little tiny brush like this that will help us do a little bit of detail work. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I like to do is I like to prime my eyelids. The reason that I like to prime my eyelids first is because I don't want to disturb the brow area again after I've done my brows. So I like to do my eye primer first. That way it's set and it's dry by the time I do my eyeshadow, so it just works out for me that way. I like this primer because it is self-setting. You don't have to go in and set it with a powder. It's not too wet of a formula. It is literally smudge proof. Shadows do blend on top of it very, very seamlessly, and it makes the color pop even more because you don't have a powder that you've set it with. So I really, really enjoy this primer. It has to be my absolute favorite, hands down. The next thing that I do is I'm going to brush up my brows. I want to brush them up. I do a little bit of a bushy brow, or the very thick bushy brow. I don't know what the term is for it, but so I like to brush them up. Now I'm going to go in with my Tom Ford Brow Sculptor pencil. This tip scared me a little bit when I bought it. I bought this at the cosmetics company store for 60% off, first off. But it's like that shape, like the Anastasia Brow Wiz. I don't know if it's the Brow Wiz, that's the thin one, but they have a thicker one that's slanted. That's what this one looks like. So it did scare me just a little bit because I thought that it would make my brows too thick and I wouldn't be able to get like hair-like strokes. Not the case if you're light-handed and if you're careful with it, but what I do with it is I start carving out the shape that I want my brows to be in. Very lightly. And you see that I'm slanting the pen just a little bit. As I get closer to the front of the brow, I am standing up the pencil this way so that I can get more precise, thinner strokes. If I go over like I did here, I just brush it out. I don't have foundation on yet, so it's totally fine. And I just kind of keep going over the line here at the bottom until I have the shape I like. If I don't have the shape I like too much down here, not to worry, because we will be carving out our brows later. So if you notice, I kind of went over here. I just brush it away. No biggie. Now, one thing to note is you really do want the shape of the brow right now, because we won't use another product to shape the brow or fill in the brow after this. So that's why I say, like, fill it out, shape it out as much as you want now, because once we apply the other products, it will be hard to reshape the brow. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, I have the other brow done now. One thing that I wanted to point out that is just so natural for me to do, but I think I do it intentionally now, it's just a habit, is when it comes to the brows, the way that I avoid getting like the boxed brow look is I make sure that this is not just straight up, like the little hairs here at the beginning of the brow. I like to make sure that they look a little slanted, and so what I mean by that is I will go out a little bit more and then I'll slant the hairs that way. That way I don't get like a box look. I don't have just like a straight line, I slant it going towards the opposite way. Right now they're still a little bit boxier than I'd like, but we're going to brush them out, so that will kind of go away. But I just wanted to point that out because sometimes we can do a really great job, and I've done this where you do a really great job on the rest of the brow, but then the front looks boxy, like just a straight up, very perfect line. I don't think that looks natural. Obviously, it's going to be your preference, but that's what I wanted to point out for my brows. So these brows look pretty good. So the next step is going to be my MAC Fix Plus and my spoolie. So I'll hold my spoolie down, preferably over a towel, because it's going to spray it and it might drip. And I just spray my brush. That's all I'm doing, is spraying the brush. I'll spray it so that it's nicely saturated, and then that's when we are going to go into our soap brows. This is the product that I use. I think it retails for $8 and it's amazing, you guys. So what I like to do is, you see the product there, it's clear, and I just go into it with the spoolie. I try, you know, the spoolie's wet. It's not dripping wet, so it's fine. It just gives it enough moisture, and then I just saturate the spoolie with the product. Usually I don't even use that much, but it doesn't matter. I get the soap onto the brush, and then I just start lightly. I've seen some people in tutorials, like they just like grab the brows and they press down like really hard. I think that gives it a super laminated look. If that's what you're into, then I would say press a little harder. I like them to be a little more natural, you know, like brushed up, but more natural. So I just do it lightly. I don't go too hard. I also have very light brows, so, you know, I think I would look bald if I went in too hard. But do you guys see the difference now between both brows? They're looking nice and bushy, and they have a nice shape, and the hair, it just automatically looks, you know, fuller because the hair's brushed up. Sometimes, like if I haven't, and I never really, I know some people groom their brows and they kind of trim. I never do that. Again, I have light brows. So sometimes if like a brow hair is too long, I'll just go in there and I'll just kind of brush it down, tame it down a little to go with the shape that I'm trying to achieve. But literally that's it. Do you see that? That's it. So that's where I say, like, we may or may not need the perfecting gel from Chantecaille or any brow gel, but that's what I do there. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray my brush just a little more. It doesn't need too much more of the MAC Fix Plus the second time around because it's already saturated with some product. But I just go in and I just very lightly brush, brush, brush. Now, as I'm brushing up, I'm already seeing that there's a gap there. Do you see that gap there? Where I need to fill it in a little more. I would say that doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does. The reason why you want to fill your brows in as best as possible up front is once this soap is laid down, it's kind of hard to add additional product, it almost creates like a layer, like a wax. And so it's hard to fill them in after, but okay, see this one? This one has a gap in the front. It has a gap here. And I mean, sometimes we have to go in a couple times. That's just how it is. I don't have perfect brows. Now, if this happens again, I don't like using the Tom Ford to go over it because the pencil is too thick and it does have a little bit more of a waxy formula, which I like, but to get in there and really fill it in after the soap has been laid down, it just doesn't work. So I go in with my Urban Decay Brow Blade. This has a little bit of a thinner point, so it reminds me of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz, the really, really thin one. And so I'll go in with this one after it's dried down a little bit, and I'll try to fill it in, but it is hard, I will not lie. Once the soap is down, it really is hard. So you see how I'm having to really press hard. So I'm gonna wait till it dries a little bit more and then we'll go from there. I like this Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz because it also has the felt tip liner side. This one's really dry, but sometimes it gives me a little bit just to fill it in. You see that? So even though it's a little red in color compared to the color from Tom Ford, we're gonna fix it later anyway. Okay, so the reason that I said that you don't always need the brow gel is because sometimes I get them just perfect the first time and we don't get these gaps like I got on this brow. Today, however, I had the gap. I wanted to show you how to fix that if you have to go in with something that looks a little different in color, like this one's really red. And I go in with my brow and I just fix it that way and I go over the entire thing. Now I'm using the Chantecaille Full Perfecting Brow Gel because this is what I have. However, another one that I really like is the Anastasia one. They have one that's good. And then actually e.l.f. has a really good brow gel as well. And I just go over it just to make sure that everything looks to be the same color. Okay, so the brows are dry. They still look a little funky. Don't worry, the next step is cleanup. Okay, the next step is cleanup. They still look a little funky. They look a little thick for me, and I like them a certain way. So the way that we're gonna clean the brows up is I use a concealer. Any concealer is fine. Usually, I like to use my Pat McGrath concealer for this because it's full coverage, but I don't know what I did with it, literally, so whatever. So I'm going to grab some concealer on my hand. I have a tiny little detail brush like this from Pixi. What you see on it is just concealer. This is the Precision Crease brush from Pixi. The brush number is 246, tiny little thing. And I like to just dip it in my concealer, and then I just start carving out the brow. So I'll look at the brow. I'll start here. I like a little curve in my brow, so I'll add that. And I'll just start carving it out, carving it out. With this part, you really want to take your time. You want to make sure that you get exactly the shape you want. Usually what I do at the end is I like to go up a little to bring the brow down. Kind of drags your face down, but if you end with the brow kind of pointed upwards, it really does lift that area of the face. So that's what I do there. Once I'm half done cleaning, periodically I'll go in and I'll just brush to see if I'm good, if I like the shape that I have. And I'm pretty satisfied with this shape here. Now after a while, you're going to get really, really good at your brows and you might not have to clean up as much. I honestly don't clean up or carve out the brows every time. Obviously today, because we're doing the tutorial, so I want to show you exactly what I do, but not every time. Sometimes it's not as clean down there, and that's okay. You know, if I'm doing like an eye tutorial or a video focused on eyeshadow, I do like to do this because it looks cleaner and more carved out, but that's the way I do it. And again, like, I mean, the best thing to remember too is like, you know, I used to get so stressed about my brows not looking the same. Like, I'm sure you've heard this before, but they're meant to be sisters, not twins. They're going to look different. That's okay. As long as they generally look symmetrical, you know, doesn't matter. Then I always grab my finger and just pat, pat, pat. Pat the concealer down. I went a little too high there, so I just took my pencil and filled it in. But that's pretty much it. So there are the brows. This is still, if it's bugging you, it's bugging me. This area here where it still looks a little reddish. I'm gonna finish out my makeup and then I'll come back so that you guys can see what it really looks like once it's all put together. Okay guys, and this is the finished look with an entire face of makeup. As you can see, the imperfections that we could see when it was just the brows are pretty much gone. And I just think like that's one thing to keep in mind. Sometimes we get so obsessed with making them perfect and we think that it's not gonna look right, but once the makeup is all on, it really does come all together. Let me bring you in just a little closer. There is what the brows look like. As you can see, you can't really tell where the imperfections were unless somebody's like right up against you checking for that, you know? All right, guys, so that's the end of the tutorial. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you know of somebody that could really use this, please make sure and share that with others. That really does help my channel out. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Also, Instagram and Twitter is kind of where I hang out and we talk about all things makeup, so make sure and do that. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions on products. Like I said, everything will be listed in the description box. If you have any questions on like other techniques or, you know, some comparable products that you have at home that you could use for this technique as well, I'm more than happy to talk about it in the comment section down below. So definitely do that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.